revolution or a coup. So you guys are experiencing this at the moment. So the election, you're already seeing some email leaks with Trump and Hillary Clinton. I was watching this morning about someone was talking about the size of Trump's hand, which I thought was fucking ridiculous. But I think what they're doing, what WikiLeaks doing is releasing this information is great, but it's just not really what I'd be looking for in terms of using an election to overthrow a government. So I'd be looking at like a 12 days before Christmas or 12 days before an election tack. It doesn't have to be real. We already own everything. We already own banks, investment companies. So we can use the items on the right-hand side just to fake whatever we want. So when someone goes towards an election, they can just use those things there on the right-hand side. So you can actually move money between the parties, and we'll have a look at that in depth a bit later on. In my country, Australia, we got an SMS just before we went to the polls. Medicare is a bit like your Obamacare, and it looked like the SMS was from Medicare, and it was pretty much to scare people into voting for the other party. So a technique that you can use to throw an election. And again, the WikiLeaks for email leaks. As I said, this one's been going for too long. These things should be done in rapid succession to get into the voter's mind just before they go to vote. Okay, the second method we have is a revolution. So here's a couple of revolutions in history. You guys have had one. We had Egypt in 2011 and Ukraine in 2014. So for those who don't know, Ukraine 2014, the president of Ukraine was about to sign a deal with the EU, get $700 million in loans, and then Putin stepped in and offered them $2 to $3 billion to get rid of that. So the people revolted against that, and we'll have a look at that a little bit later on. The other option is the coup d'etat. So you saw that recently in Turkey, where a small portion of the army, or in our case mercenaries, tried to overthrow the government by force. And you'll see there just some examples of coups, and American government was involved in the first two of those. So in terms of where we'd want to start in overthrowing a government, we start down the bottom. So we have what's called tactical operations or low-intensity operations. So this is where you want to weaken the government with insurgency, sanctions, or really just telling them they're doing a bad job. Example I put up there for the revolution. So if those fail, we have the revolution, which we saw in Ukraine. And the picture there is the deputy PM in 2013, before the revolution, was complaining that the American government were doing exercises called Tech Camp, and they're actually teaching the people of Ukraine on how to organise protests via Twitter and Facebook. And he's complaining that the American government are causing the revolution before it happened. If a revolution is not going to work, then we look at the coup. So the Iran coup over 51 to 53 was done by the British government and the US government. And if that fails, we look at an invasion. So before Panama was invaded, there were 5 failed coups before Manuel Noriega was replaced in 1989. Things you need to watch out for when you're doing a revolution. These are the 5 things that will try to stop your revolution. So the government in power, for example, saying that they're going to have new or fresh elections. Something called strategic hamletting, which is separating the insurgents from the population using the Vietnam War. The third one, which we'll talk about a bit later, called cash grants. So you're pretty much bribing the people to shut them up. The third one is a middle alternative. So we have a left party, a right party, and you offer a middle party. These are all techniques just to quiet the population down. You just have to be aware of these because they may happen if you're going to try to set up a revolution. And the last one is economic development organisations and hospital school building. So when you see the military invade a country, for example, like Iraq, and they're building schools and all that sort of crap, it's all just bullshit. They're just keeping an eye on the population to stop a revolution happening post that event. That's good publicity as well. Some techniques for preventing coups. So the private army or the mercenary, private military contractor. So Colonel Gaddafi with his 3,000 Revolutionary Guards, the Saudi royal family with its 25,000 white army, and you guys have your own National Guard, your private military force protecting each state. I mean, it's a great anti-coup measure, so you really don't have any central point to overthrow the government of the US. There's also spies. So Assad for Syria, for example, has these spy agencies that spy on the military and spy on each other to make sure that no overthrow takes place, there's no coup. And that works quite well. They work so well that a civil war is now in place in Syria, as you guys know. And obviously, you guys have a lot of intelligence organisations for this as well. One thing I wanted to bring up is the fake coup. You've got to be aware of the fake coup. So on the screen, you'll see some different coup types, and you're welcome to study those. And there's some material on your CDs which talk about different types of coups. But when your opposition is getting close, you want to arrest them and just say that they're causing a coup. This worked well in Turkey in early 2000, where the AKP party arrested generals and journalists to say that they were creating a coup. Now, this actually didn't really happen. There was digital evidence that had been modified, and these guys were cleared. And then, obviously, there was another coup just recently. We don't know whether it was fake or not yet. There's a little bit of theory, guys, to get you started. And I wanted to talk to you. I'm not really much of a theory guy. I need to know how to create a coup or a revolution, but now I want to apply it to a real country. Operation Nanny Goat, 2011. So you guys would have heard of Kuwait, a small oil-producing country, nestled between Iraq and Saudi Arabia, about 3 or 4 million people. That's a picture of Kuwait. Actually, it looks like this, so it's pretty close. No, seriously, this is what Kuwait is. It's a beautiful city. So what we'll do is let's have a look at Kuwait City. This is the government and also family tree. They're pretty much exactly the same thing. We have the Emir up the top. You might see a common link in the last names. Al-Sabah, all the way through. So we have the Emir, Crown Prince, the Prime Minister. His name is Nasser Al-Sabah, and then you can see the Foreign Affairs and Defence Ministries. Now, what we want to do here is we want to overthrow Prime Minister Nasser. And for those who know the Unaoil scandal, the bribery scandal, they referred to him as the big cheese. So this is the standard intelligence that mercenaries or militaries will use. You guys probably will know this sort of stuff, like the NSA and also embassies, spies, and Five Eyes. What can we use? So we can use private intelligence agencies, WikiLeaks, for example. And I don't know if you guys can read that, but what they referred to Sheikh Nasser Al-Sabah is perceived as politically incompetent protocol wonk, whose record is tarnished by his failure to construct and effectively manage his cabinet. But I believe the best intelligence is the one you hack yourself, and I want to hack all the government to find out what he's up to. Okay, so looking at the intelligence, we think corruption is going to be the big point in this one. Here's a map of Kuwait, and you can see the green, which is the oil fields of Kuwait. And the people are not happy that the government are rich, and the people feel really poor. Now, corruption is not going to work in every country. You're going to have to find the weakness in each country. For example, Anonymous thought they would attack Nigeria on their corruption, which is pretty fucking pointless, because that is Nigeria's biggest export. It won't work there. So what are our options for overthrow? Elections? No. There's no real elections. Those 3 top parties there, the Emir, Crown Prince and the Prime Minister, there's no elections for those guys. The elections are for the guys below that. So we're not going to look at the election. Coup d'etat? No, it's too hot. So here's a map of Kuwait. The white dots is the US military bases, the green is the Kuwait army, and the purple is the Air Force. They also have 7,000 soldiers protecting the royal family. So coup, I'm not a big fan of racing against those forces. So it looks like revolution is our only option. So in 2011, you guys will probably remember this was the Arab Spring. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the countries that recently fell. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a timeline of the countries in that region that either fell by revolution, coup, assassination, or just protest. And you can see Kuwait down the bottom in light blue, cabinet resigns. So here's an extract from Edward Luttwak. If you guys want to do these sort of coups or revolutions, you're going to have to study up on this guy. He's pretty much a master for strategy. And this illustration shows what the intelligence agencies need to go through to find out whether there's a coup taking place. So on the y-axis, we have all the data the intelligence agencies are going to go through. On the A in coup planning leakage, that is when I'm planning a coup operation of what's going to leak out when I talk to my advisors and the hackers. The blue line above is noise or levels, and the green line here, coup plus noise data, is all the intelligence that come through, and the little X point is when the coup is uncovered. Obviously, you want to keep your OPSEC quite low so you don't get detected. So with our cyber mercenary structure, same as the traditional mercenary, we're going to use things such as denial of service attacks, social engineering, and all our normal hacking stuff. And it's your job as the architect to employ the advisors to get the people on the ground, such as hackers from your country or overseas countries. You'll need to map out all the targets of the country that you want to hack. So we're talking about government, media, electricity, oil, gas, all those sort of agencies. And you want to map out what you want to hack. Now, I'm not really much of a strategic in terms of what items I want to hack, so I just hacked them all. At least then I had the options of what lever I wanted to pull. So as a hacker, we know what sort of tools we use on a normal day-to-day basis. You're going to have to learn some new techniques and tools. Not hard. You just need to do a bit of research. I've just got a couple of them up there. A lot of them have to do with misinformation. So when we're hacking into banks, we want to move money around to make it look really dodgy. And also things like professional agitation. So we want to employ people to do protests like union members and also university students. Now, you're going to have to finance this operation. I probably wouldn't recommend this method. We nearly got our goal. But by using the chart below, you say that we got. It didn't take long before we got uncovered. So I'm a big fan in robbing banks. They've got lots of money, so we'll use the bank's money. You can also use the banks for depositing fake corruption payments, and I'll show you that in a second, terrorism payments, or breaking the bank, such as removing all the money from the banks. And then Hillary Clinton pretty much said here that we've got the green light to attack these countries here. Saudis, Qataris and Kuwaitis need to stop their citizens from funding extremist organisations. Another tactic you can use is move money between private accounts from these terrorists into private accounts such as Hillary Clinton and use that evidence to paint a bad picture of her. Or Trump, I don't care who wins. They're both lunatics. So let's get into the real world. Here's the Central Bank of Kuwait. That's what it looks like in 2011 on the left-hand side, and that's what it looks like now in 2016. Obviously, if you can't hack in through the front door, use the stuff that you've got around. We don't have to use a 0 day. We've got 1,000 targets to hack. Don't get all fancy pants on me and use 0 days. Just use whatever you can. So whether it be a LAN turtle or a Raspberry Pi, or you can see the little box there. I don't know if you guys know what that is. The fourth picture along, that's an NSTLU slug. It's a NAS box, which you use as a PC or a rat, so a physical rat within an organisation. Or what we did is we just hacked in the front door. If you can't hack in through the front door, just pay a cleaner and they will put one of these implants in for you.